We're starting our training series on how to build a 7-figure or 8-figure media empire right now in this video. And we're going to be starting with the humble content site to begin with. Throughout this video, we're going to tell you exactly what kind of traffic opportunities exist, what kind of revenue opportunities exist, and what people get wrong when they start out. Hello everyone, my name is Gregory Elfrink. I am the Director of Marketing at Empire Flippers, and today we are going to be discussing about how to build a media empire. I'm very excited for this, so let's get into it. I like to call this first phase the brochure of staggering profit, and I'll get into that here in a second why I call it that. But first, let's talk about what people get wrong with this. What SEOs get wrong when they start out a content site. So most SEOs, to explain what a content site is, if you don't know, is basically a website where you're writing all these articles, you're getting SEO traffic to it. That traffic comes to your article, they click an affiliate link or they click a display ad, and you get paid if they buy something on the affiliate side, or you just get paid if they click the ad. And that's it. That's the whole business model in a nutshell. And that's where most SEOs stop, to be honest. Most SEOs view that as the thing that they're trying to do is rank that article and bank on that traffic converting at that point. But this is a very short-sighted way to look at this because think about it. SEO is the most valuable traffic in the world because it's so high intent. It is so high intent that it will convert much better than most paid media you could ever hope for or dream of, or any kind of social virality where you might get a lot of traffic, but they kind of splatter and go away and never buy anything. So SEO is some of the most powerful forms of traffic you can get. And most SEOs really just kind of lose sight of the forest for the trees by getting them to click an affiliate link or a display ad. I'm only really worried about people clicking my affiliate links or display ads. I've already messed up. I need to be focusing on how do I build that audience, because long term that audience is going to be worth way more than that click to the affiliate link that might put some money in my pocket today. Okay, so why do I call this the brochure of staggering profit? One, it sounds cool, I think, but the other thing is that's how these websites work. So if you have an analogy, I like to use the brochure versus the magazine analogy when it comes to content sites. If you're walking down the street, I'm walking down the street with you, I'm handing out brochures to people left and right, I hand you a brochure. What are you going to do? You have two options that are going to happen if I hand you a brochure. One, you throw the brochure away without ever reading it, right? Which is probably what most people are going to do, just like any marketing traffic channel. The vast majority of people who see your marketing are not going to buy anything or do anything at all, really. So the second option, what you could do is I hand you a brochure, you read the brochure, you buy or don't buy something on that brochure, and then you throw it away. Even if you bought something from me with that brochure, you're going to throw it away because no one keeps brochures. It just doesn't happen. I mean, there's probably someone out there that has this massive collection of brochures and they're typing very angry comments to me on Reddit right now about this. I have 1 billion brochures, you are an idiot, right? But most people don't keep brochures. They're going to throw them away whether they become a customer or not. Versus the magazine analogy, most people will keep magazines if they like it. If I'm walking down the street, I hand you a magazine about home and kitchen stuff or whatever, you are either still going to throw it away and never read it, or you're going to read it and buy something and then throw it away, or you're going to read it, buy something, maybe not buy something, but you're going to subscribe to the magazine because you're like, that was a good experience. I like that. I like that magazine. So now I have a subscriber, right? So this is the different business models within the same business, the content business, right? The content business model. But one model is a brochure that can make an amazing amount of money. And the other one is a magazine that starts off slower in terms of the money it can make, but will always eclipse the brochure in the long run because of the power of its snowball effect on building an audience. And that is one of the big things SEOs get wrong. All right, let's talk about the anatomy of a brochure website. So Everyone who at least follows my tips here are going to start off with a brochure of staggering profit model, because that's really what I recommend. I recommend you to start with that model because it's the simplest, it gets you going, and it opens up some revenue channels for you probably sooner than if you started with the magazine model. So the anatomy of this, like where do we start? We have a few options in front of us. We can either buy a brand new domain, which should be a brandable domain. You don't want a domain that's like best red blenders underneath $50.com. That's a bad name. Instead, you want something like kitchenhero.com. That's a good name because it is a much broader subject that you can cover. You might start just only talking about red blenders underneath $50 on your website, but you need to plan for the big vision. Remember what I said in the last video, dream complex, but start simple. That is very, very, very important. So the anatomy is we can build that site from scratch by buying a new domain. We can kind of cheat the system a little bit by buying a domain that was already existing, like an expired domain, to get extra SEO juice. Or we can just buy a content site that's already making money. Hint, hint, we can help you with that. Just go to our marketplace and register down in the links below. But no matter which way you start, all of them are valid. Some of them can go much, much faster than others. I think the fastest way to do this is literally just buying one that's already making money. You get to have the entire first phase basically done for you. And just to let you know, that first phase can take a while. You can check out my 45-minute video on affiliate marketing for beginners to see what I mean. But a lot of times when you start a site from scratch, you're looking at a timeline between 18 and 24 months before you make anything reasonable. And even when you start making money, it can be depressing because how much effort you put in for how little you get. But that's pretty much the timeline. You can obviously speed this up if you're good, if you're an expert, or you get lucky, but that's what I would expect. If you're going to build something directly from scratch, expect to toil for 18 to 24 months within the niche. Okay, so let's talk a little bit deeper about the anatomy. There's really three things here. You have your profitable content, you have your channels of revenue channels, and then you have your traffic system. So the first step is identifying what makes money for a brochure style website. And in this case, the type of content that will probably make you the most amount of money is going to be buying guides. You want to create big, definitive buying guides, and you want to spin off of those buying guides other types of content. So this will be best X for Y, best ring lights for people with glasses would be an example of a problem I have, and hopefully it's not showing in my glasses this time like one of my other videos, one of my other 4 videos rather. But that is an example of a profitable content, right? The problem is inside the headline, and there is a solution within the article. Buy this ring light or do this, or stop being an idiot with your camera, Greg. Anyhow, that's low self-esteem talking. So best X for Y, buying guides, top best reviews. So there can be top 10 ring light reviews or one specific brand of ring light review. And though that specific brand, the individual reviews are probably going to be the ones that make you the most money at the start. Because if I have, instead of best ring lights for 2021, I have this masterful brand ring light review, that specific master brand probably has way less competition in Google because it's super specific, right? The traffic is also super, super low. So you're not going to be able to make a ton of money most likely with that, but that will be the kind of content I recommend you start with the most. First, build the buying guide, and then start building a bunch of individual product reviews, and then start doing some best X for Y. And then I would also recommend doing one product brand versus another product brand, which will also be able to produce some good money for you fast, because just like the single product review, the competition is probably going to be lower. And people who are looking at things that are like versus in Google, they've already made a decision. They want to buy something. In fact, they're very close. They're down to 2 decisions, right? Of 2 different products that they want to buy, and they don't know which one to go with yet. You can step in there and guide them on that final step of the customer journey. So that's the profit content. That's how we're going to make money with the brochure site in the beginning. Now, you still want informational content. You want to have informational content. So in terms of ring lights, because I was using that example earlier, we might say, okay, here's my buying guide on ring lights. here is like 3 articles on how to set up ring lights, of the different color tones of ring lights, all that kind of stuff that go into detail on all of that. You're not really going to be making much money with these, but you will later on, and they can help you with search traffic. So let's move into the actual revenue opportunities that exist in the brochure. So I pretty much mentioned the main one, which is going to be affiliate marketing. Affiliate marketing, if you don't know, go back to that 45-minute video of me, just go on a long monologue about affiliate marketing, and you'll know everything you need to know about it to really get started. But that will be your best money maker, at least in the beginning, with your brochure of Staggering Profit. The next revenue channel, and by the way, I do recommend Amazon affiliate for you to start off, not because it's the best program, just because it's the easiest, and it will most likely have whatever items you're seeking for. Much later on, I would recommend moving away from Amazon because there are way better affiliate programs out there typically for a lot of the high ticket products you might sell in your niche. But anyhow, that's a different point for later. So the next revenue channel is going to be display ads. And there's really only 2 revenue channels on the brochure of Staggering Profit because the business is thin. It's just a brochure, right? It can't do much yet. But display ads are fantastic. Display ads are how you're going to be able to monetize that informational content, like how to set up a ring light or how to place it, the distance-wise or whatever, right? That's how you're going to be able to monetize that. But again, you're not going to make much money from it in the beginning because you're a brand new site. So you don't have much traffic. And display ads as a revenue model are actually huge. I love it. I love display ads more than affiliate because at scale, it's just so much easier to work with. But when you are starting off with a small brochure site, you don't have the type of traffic you really need to make display ads like a super reasonable amount of income, right? It'll just be a little trickle in comparison to your affiliate. But those are the 2 revenue streams. Okay, let's talk about the traffic system. So obviously, we're going to be focusing on SEO. That's what I recommend you to focus on. You might be able to get away with some social sharing, social posting, all that kind of stuff. But SEO should really be your main focus at this stage with a brochure site. And again, you're going to be doing your keyword research, all that good stuff. I'm not going to go into details on how to do that stuff. I have a video on affiliate marketing if you want to learn how I would do it. But really, there's tons of videos out there, and this series is already going to be too long, so I can't dive into like the deep dive of the tactics. But you want to start with SEO, start getting those keywords ranked, getting that traffic in. Now, some people will think, well, I want to go fast. I want to use paid ads. And you absolutely can do that, and it can go a lot faster. But I warn you against doing paid ads at all for a very long time in this type of business model. And the reason why is because you need to master organic before you can do paid ads. If you do paid ads before you master organic, you could spend thousands and thousands of dollars on an article over, say, like a Facebook ad, it's getting all these licensed shares. You turn off that ad and there's no organic. There's just nothing happening because you never master that. Now, once you master organic, I do recommend ads because you'll know what article to do ads to, that when you do it, you actually amplify your organic traffic because of how good it is. But that is a very advanced skill, and I do not recommend you to do it when you're just starting out with your phase 1 brochure site. All right, so part 3 of the brochure of Staggering Profit is I want you to dream big, but start narrow. This is very important. Write down to the name of your domain, which I already mentioned earlier. You shouldn't be naming your domain Best Red Blenders. It should be something like Kitchen Hero. Give yourself breathing room to expand into something massive, because that's really the only way this model works. If you're only going to be focusing on a pretty narrow niche, then the media empire strategy doesn't work nearly as effective as it could. It still can work 100%, but like for us, it works wonders for us, right? But the broader you go, usually the better over time. Now, with that said, your content strategy when you first start off should be very, very, very narrow. So again, dream big, start narrow, dream broad and start narrow, right? So in this case, let's say we bought the domain Kitchen Hero. I use this website so often, I wonder if someone actually owns it. You're welcome for the free direct traffic if you're watching. But anyhow, kitchenhero.com, that's the site we buy. but our content strategy starts narrow. So we only are talking about blenders. We might write hundreds of articles about blenders, right, over a period of time for this brochure site, because a brochure site can be huge. It doesn't have to be small, but the actual content that we are doing is very narrow and focused. And by focusing narrow and going deep on one specific subject, it allows us to go faster, to expand into all those other areas over time. Now, where do you write this kind of content? Well, if you're just starting out, you have no money whatsoever, I would write it yourself. That is going to be the number one expense in this business model is content creation. And if you don't have any money, I would start yourself. And that brings me to another point. You should be in a niche that you kind of like. Now, it doesn't have to be something you're passionate about. I hate that advice where, just follow your passion and you'll be rich. Like, well, my passion is being wealthy, right? It can lead people down dumb paths, to be honest. Like, I have a passion for castles. I am never in a million years going to create a YouTube or, well, probably not a YouTube show or content site about castles, right? Like, I probably just won't do that. Well, like, what kind of Amazon affiliate opportunities are there if I'm talking about castles, right? Not very many. That's the answer, right? So find a niche that is broad, that you have passing interest in at least. It doesn't have to be passionate interest, but you wouldn't mind learning about it, because even if you don't outsource the content, or even if you do outsource the content rather, you're going to be spending a lot of time with this subject matter. So you should at least have a passing interest in it. And that brings me to another point. You could outsource all of this, but there's a danger in that too. Just like with paid ads, if you haven't mastered organic traffic yet, and you haven't mastered how to write a good piece of content, well, when you outsource that content to other writers, you probably don't know if it's good or not, because you don't know. You haven't tried it yourself. So before you outsource any kind of content or really do any task, I recommend you trying it out yourself. You could fail, right? You could write 10 articles like, wow, I'm bad. But now you know the process, and that's important. Like when I first started this YouTube channel, which was actually almost a year ago now, and only recently really started picking up. And recently I started doing my own thumbnails. I thought, hey, this is decent. I'm not that bad at Canva. Then I hired someone to do some custom thumbnails for me, and it reminded me, oh, I am really bad at this, because I knew what went into the process now, and I understood what that vendor was doing when I outsourced. So if you do outsource your content creation, just start creating some content yourself to get a feel for it, and then you can outsource it. Now that was going to take your expenses way high. And what I recommend, because you're probably bootstrapped at this stage, is to start with something like a text broker or a content mill. Not going to be the highest quality content, but it's going to be relatively cheap, and you can give them really great briefs to improve the quality of that content dramatically. And this is good enough for the brochure style site. You don't need masterful in-depth content when you're first starting out. You just need some content to get the ball rolling. Now, over time, you want to become stricter and stricter with content quality, because you'll have the resources to do it and it'll make more sense for you to do it. But when you first start off, like someone that comes to Google and is reading a Blender review, they're not looking to be wowed with a white paper, right? They're not looking for all this crazy data. They just want to know the bare bones facts of their own decision making. And that's okay. Give them that. Text broker can be great for that. Over time, you will start building out those kind of like white paper, research, data heavy stuff that really can make you blow up. But for now, just use text broker or write it yourself. All right, tips for niche of what you should select for a media empire. The first thing to look at is it broad enough? You want a broad niche, not a small niche, for all the reasons I just said. And ideally, you want people who are passionate about the niche in some way. Now, there are other niches called your money or your life, where it's not necessarily a passionate thing, like maybe it's a medical problem that people just want solved, right? And that's okay too if you want to go that route. But most people, I would recommend going more for a passionate hobbyist niche versus a your money or your life niche. And one of the big reasons is usually your money or your life, or YMLL. I'm totally butcher that. The reason why people go for it is because it's super, super lucrative, because people need to know how to solve the problem. The problem for you, if you went for it, if you're just starting out, it's super, super competitive with all the best SEOs in the industry in those niches. So you're competing against some of the top dogs. You don't want to do that. Versus if you go for a hobbyist niche, let's say an outdoors niche or a hiking niche or whatever, right? Something that people are passionate about, but it's not exactly your money or your life, so the competition is probably going to be lower. Next, what you want to do is take your brainstorm list of niches and go to something like Reddit. Go to the subreddit, see what the hobbyists and the passion enthusiasts are talking about, because this is a great place to brainstorm keywords. Great place to brainstorm tons of different content outside of just keywords, but you want to know how or what kind of questions that audience is asking. And furthermore, you want to understand how do they speak. So for example, every niche has its own kind of world of vernacular and words that they use. If you want to get that niche, that audience to really trust you, use the words of their world. So when I'm selling a business or writing, not selling a business, when I'm writing content to get an entrepreneur to sell their business with us, I ask myself, what kind of entrepreneur am I talking to? If I'm talking to an affiliate site owner, I'm going to be using very different words than if I'm talking to a SaaS owner, right? On an affiliate site, I might be talking a lot about display ad RPMs, affiliate links, CRO for those, all that kind of stuff, right? Versus SaaS, I'm talking about churn, MRR versus ARR, all that kind of stuff. Now, the core principle of what I'm saying to both of them is more or less the same for the most part, to be honest, but I'm using the words of their world, which endears them to me when I'm speaking to them. Now, don't get overwhelmed with that part of the process, but that is something you want to develop over time. Don't spend too much on it right now because you're just starting off. It's better to get started and then iterate over a period of time rather than stress over your buyer personas, right? So just get started, but do keep that in mind and collect all those subreddit questions. Finally, for niche selection, and to me, this is the most important part when it comes to building a huge media buy, or not media buy, a huge media empire, is asking yourself what is being sold in the niche. Now, when I say what is being sold in the niche, I don't mean other brochure websites. This is another common mistake that SEOs make because they're only thinking about other affiliates. They're only thinking about affiliate content sites. What can an affiliate content site sell? And so they'll go and look at that. But I want you to ask yourself a broader question here. Look at all business models in that space. What is all being sold there? So, example, hiking. I know there's affiliate links for a bunch of different stuff. There's travel affiliate programs I could probably sign up to fly people to certain like remote hikes or whatever. And then of course, Amazon affiliate for the physical products. But what else do I know? I know that physical products can be sold in this niche. So there's an e-commerce opportunity there for me, right? I know on Amazon in particular, there's tons of outdoor hiking stuff that have really great reviews. So there's an Amazon FBA component to my e-commerce opportunity that exists within this niche. The travel stuff, what does that tell me? Well, maybe I can write guidebooks. Maybe there's informational products on how to do this special kind of hike. You know, that opens up potential courses, books, trainings that I can sell as digital products. You know, so think about all these different things. There's probably like apps that are like designed for a hiker that are probably not too wicked expensive to create. I don't know anything about hiking, even though I'm from Alaska. Don't hike. So what you want to ask yourself is not what the other affiliate site owners are selling, but rather what is possible to be sold in this niche, because we want to go big. Eventually, affiliate and display ad will make a very small, maybe even non-existent part of our revenue once we scale up big. We're just using those two things right now to get started. So think of all that stuff, everything you find that is being sold within this niche, from tech to digital products, physical products, informational products, write them all down in a big long spreadsheet. And every now and then go back and see if you can find some more to add more to that spreadsheet. Ideally, what you're looking for is that there is something being sold at every level of the profit margin value chain. So there's programs for affiliates, there's physical products, and there's digital/informational products. Those are the three things you're looking for most. The other thing you want to look for is if there's a SaaS potential, a software as a service potential, or a subscription potential, which I'll get into much later in this series. Now, those are optional. You don't need them, but they are very helpful. And you will be surprised at how many SaaS opportunities and subscription opportunities exist in niches you never even thought that there could be one, right? So and I'll get into more of that later as well as this Media Empire series goes on. But that's my final tip for the niches. So a brochure website is super, super, super powerful. In fact, you can take the high level strategy here of what I just said and make it into a 7-figure, even an 8-figure website by itself. You don't have to do anything else I'm about to tell you in this Media Empire series. If you just focus on that, you could build a 7-figure and 8-figure business. Now, it's unlikely, very unlikely, because most content sites do not get that big. They can happen, such as the Wirecutter is a very famous example. Space.com is another example of a site like that, but it's super rare, and I wouldn't recommend you to go for that. If your real mission is to get a 7-figure or 8-figure business, I recommend keep watching the rest of this media buying series because it's going to speed up your potential dramatically to reach those higher peaks. But again, if you just focus on this alone, you can definitely get into the 7-figure range. I know 100% that is possible because we've sold 7-figure websites that are basically just a brochure style website, a brochure business model when it comes to the content model. So do keep that in mind. None of this is necessarily easy. It's hard. It's going to take long timelines to work and to make it happen, but it's all very much possible. And if you follow the rest of this series, you're going to you're stacking the cards in your favor. You're going to be able to do a lot more than you ever thought possible. And even if you don't reach 7 figures by following the rest of this series, or 8 figures, you're going to make a much more powerful business that your competitors can't really compete with, or at least not very easily. Trust me, I know that from personal experience because, again, Empire Flippers was built in a lot of similar fashions as to what I'm talking about right now. All right, I'll see you in the next video. Definitely hit the like and subscribe button if you haven't yet, and I will see you later.